uh, I know I look busted. I just got up. You know, there's so much that's going on. You know, uh, let's lower the music. And it's some bread. Uh, I with a little eggnog from last night, and my water. Okay. Yeah, it's time for me to braid. It's time for me to braid, so I can look a little bit more. Yesterday I was very proud of myself because I ate all my food on my plate. Between the teeth and between the intestinal system, all that stuff I've been going through, because I'm not eating properly because the teeth, and it does affect your overall health if you're not on top of it. So it's pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. Staying on top of it. Uh, let's see who's here. I can't really talk too much because when I do the planetary positions of Mercury in the houses, it has to be strictly 20 minutes. Uh, Queen Empress. Good morning, Queen Empress. Intuitive Soul Art. Yes, you missed Mercury in the eighth, but it's there. It's on YouTube. It's there. Hey, Alexandra. How are you? Myra. Gemini rising has Mercury in every house right now. Good morning, Tinkerbell. Divine Lioness. I haven't seen you in so long, Divine Lioness. Where you been? Mercury in the eighth house, in the ninth house. Uh, when we're dealing with Mercury again, if you go back to my first video, Mercury in the first house, Mercury in the second house, I mentioned certain factions of Mercury. Uh, Mercury, kind of like Pluto, is very mysterious. Uh, Mercury, if you've been following the series, is the only planet in our solar system that has no mythology. No one knows where Mercury came from. Every culture has a different interpretation of his existence and his appearance. In India, the mythology of Mercury is that he appeared in a lotus flower, just out of nowhere, which is why in India and in the Hindu religion, the lotus flower is very sacred. That's where Mercury sprung forth. In our mythology, Western, classical, we have no reference. Even in mythology, we know what he does. We know the things that he do, but his origin is completely unknown. We know he can go to Hades. Not even Saturn can go to Hades and come back out, but Mercury can. In and out, saying, "Hi, Pluto, what's up?" Not even Pluto can capture him and entrap him. He's like a neutral god. Neutral. To have Mercury, and that's as far as it goes, as an explanation. That's as far as it goes. There's no more to be said about the little guy. Him and Pluto share many similarities. The ninth house, though, it's a whole different vibration. Whole different vibration. The ninth house is externalized energy. It's also scholastic energy. It's also ecclesiastical energy. But it's also energy that the externalization of Mercury in ninth house, which will be no different from Mercury in Sagittarius, maybe a slight difference, right? Is that there's an inclination for curiosity. Now, we see this curiosity in the eighth house too. But here, the ninth house curiosity, the intellectual curiosity, kind of outweighs the spiritual curiosity of Mercury in the eighth house. Well, there's no intellect here. There's only depth, depths of emotional profundity. And, that's not Mercury at all. That's not Mercury at all. Yet, he hovers, intermingles, and moves among these factions, but doesn't necessarily declares them either. The ninth house is a field bed that's kind of specific. When you deal with the other houses, there's more of a broad generality to them. And all the planets, regardless of whether they're exalted, they fall, or are in their dignity, pretty much can predict certain behaviors in people, certain ways of thinking or philosophical beliefs. All the houses have that capability. It's not just the ninth house, right? It's not just the ninth house. But the ninth house does provide a higher octave than the other houses because we're getting closer to divinity and surrender as we bypass Capricorn, Aquarius, and then Pisces. Those are the last three signs remaining. So the ninth house, as in the sign of Sagittarius and its ruler Jupiter, their orientation to life is not to discover it, like in Aries, or explore it, like in the eighth house in Scorpio. Mercury in the ninth house is moving towards a higher grade of learning, a higher grade of manifesting that involves the spiritual. Where this wasn't the case, it isn't the case in the other houses. So the ninth house is the first house of all 12 houses that begins the mental journey of spirituality. It is a merging of science and spirituality into one, or science and religion, or spirituality and religion into one, fused into one. This creates a whole new philosophy. The ninth house and Mercury in the ninth house heads and points to that direction. So the people with Mercury in the ninth house are going to be rather scholastic, really focusing on scholarship. Going to other countries and studying the cultures and philosophies of other countries is also very, very possible with Mercury in the ninth house. To see and compare if what they've learned in other countries and in other cultures resembles their own. And if there's a stream or fabric that will connect them with other people of other cultures, of other races, Because if there's a similarity, then that means that God is real, and God is everywhere, and God is the same anywhere one goes. These are the deep, pounding, intellectual inquiries that plagues the person born with Mercury in the ninth house. Uh, it's a very externalized energy. In order to understand Mercury in the ninth house, there is no specific behavior that can say, oh, yes, this is Mercury in the ninth house. No. Paradoxically, um, one will never know the motives of the person with Mercury in the ninth house unless you are in a scholastic, collegiate setting, or if you are a member of the clergy, or if you do any kind of volunteer with the church, then you get a feel of the different statutes and even opinions of such institutions and the people that govern them. It becomes, uh, how can I put it? It becomes a reference point for the person with Mercury in the ninth house. Mercury in the ninth house is a wonderful position as far as your career. You can write books. You could be a professor, a lecturer, motivational speaker, TD Jakes, and what's the other one? You know who I mean. TD Jakes is one, and it just escapes me right now. But these people have strong Mercury in the ninth house or in Sagittarius. Uh, Inspiration comes not in a scientific way or in a methodical way or even in a calculated way, but it comes to inspiration because Sagittarius rules inspiration, being inspired by the possibility of something different, a higher learning. It is a form of intellectual discovery. The rewards of Mercury in the ninth house are not externalized for everybody to see. It's internalized. Even though Sagittarius is an externalized energy, with Mercury here, it becomes internal for personal motivation and personal use. This is Mercury in the ninth house. Also, there's a God complex here, which begins in Mercury in Sagittarius with the ninth house. And it culminates in Aquarius and the 11th house. No, we've heard of people say that, oh, Aquarians have a God complex. And they do. They do. But this God complex begins with Mercury in the ninth house or in Sagittarius. A mutable house and a mutable sign where data collection can be possible of all kinds of thoughts, philosophies, and opinions, and even expressions of human culture throughout the world. By the time it reaches the 11th house for Aquarius, you know everything. No one can tell you anything. And this is where the God complex begins with Aquarius. But its germinal seed begins with Mercury in the ninth house. Here, uh, the negative aspects, because there's nothing negative about this position, it's just knowing how to navigate it, how to direct it, and also developing your own pathos, which may be different from somebody else's, and then your position to fight for it. That's also in the spirit of Sagittarius in the ninth house. With Mercury here in the ninth house, there's also a need to psychologically, like in the eighth house, penetrate people's psyche. But for a different motivation in the ninth house than in the eighth house. Here, the Mercury in the ninth house is always searching. It's always searching. Oh, the beat. Anyway, the opposite polarity of Sagittarius is Gemini. So with Mercury in the ninth house, there's the mental faculties go through a process of almost natural selection. What these people will choose to deem important and worth their time and energy and what shouldn't. Mercury in the ninth house also has a lot to do with established belief systems, which also falls under Sagittarius. And here, and this is where the parallel of the godity or God complex can be born, depending on the direction that the person goes with this energy. You know, people who are ignorant, uneducated, are probably the most dangerous with this position because they'll reach conclusions in which they think they have all the answers or all the moving parts of a situation or problem when they actually don't. And that can make them make wrongful decisions that are very insular and doesn't move. And this is where the fanaticism and demigod complex is born, which then becomes a God complex by the time we reach Aquarius. So, to really manage and handle this energy properly, responsibly, it's important to be educated, go to college, go to grad school. The ninth house in Sagittarius rules these things. And part of your self-actualization will require, if you got Mercury in the ninth house, to go the intellectual route. Is the most surest way that you're going to obtain a certain level of perspective that you did not either know or come from your own childhood and background. So therefore, your background and your childhood background and your learning style doesn't become rigid and static. With Mercury in the ninth house, there should be leeway, there should be space intellectually to absorb more knowledge, pulling from the opposite polarity of Gemini, who's Damandinga, which is a data collection. Gemini is a data collector, but so is Sagittarius. Mercury, you would never know, as the ruler of Mercury, why it will do this and not do anything with it. But this is not the case with Mercury in the ninth house or in Sagittarius. Oh, this beat. Wait. Fierce. Sagittarius rules dance, jubilee, joy. It's mutable fire. You know, guys, thank you so much. Please donate. Please give to 816-908825. Support the channel so we can continue to do these wonderful gems for you. This is Mercury in Sagittarius. Boom. Kikiri boom. Oh, they're on fire. They're on fire. Oh God, guys, I love you, and we will now go to Mercury in the 10th house, the most powerful house of all the houses, and the sign of the devil.